Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin, I want to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a opening statement by Ranking Member Johnson.
Without objection.
Thank you, and I want to thank all of our witnesses, and especially thank Master Sergeant Deslauriers for his service to our country. I want to start with Dr. Landis. What are the distinct roles of the federal partners in the BRAIN initiative? And second part is, who is managing the program, ensuring that the work is coordinated?
That's an excellent question. There are 3 federal partners that are currently involved: NIH, NSF, and DARPA. There is an interagency working group on neuroscience that has been set up to look at interests of many more federal agencies in brain research. And they've written a report, which is not yet public, which has recognized that the BRAIN initiative or projects like that are a critical part, not just for those 3 agencies, but for all agencies. There are commitments that are made for FY14 from the 3 agencies. NIH is in the process of planning what those initiatives will look like. We expect a report early in September. And on that committee, NIH committee, sit ex officio members from DARPA and from NSF. NIH has been involved in the NSF planning. And so I anticipate that based on the missions of those agencies, we will end up with a very complementary and integrated program. DARPA, as you've heard, has mission. We want to fly to the moon. We want to create a prosthetic arm. NIH has interests in integrative science, mammalian, not just mammalian, but many models. And NSF has brings to the table engineering, mathematics, and other approaches. So we believe that through collegial interaction and participation in the planning efforts, that this will be a well-managed project. But it isn't yet launched, so we'll see as it goes forward.
All right, thank you. I want to move to Dr. Robinson. In your opening statement, you brought up how important it is to have an integrated approach to research topics like this, and you point out the considerable resources that the University of Illinois can bring to bear, from neuroscience to social science to the computing power of the Blue Waters computer. So I'd like to ask you for your vision of what's possible over the next 10 years of this initiative over these disparate fields. I know this is a huge question, but just to give us some types of, give us a sense of what types of questions you think we'll be able to answer 10 years from now that we can't today.
I can give you one general vision, and that has to do with an approach in science is to really understand a particular phenomenon. One needs to be able to do 2 things. One needs to be able to observe it under natural conditions, and then one needs to be able to manipulate it. So a lot of the BRAIN initiative is geared towards developing new tools to be able to visualize the activity of a real live active brain and see it in action when it is responding to changes in its environment, when it is called upon to organize a particular activity. And so there's a great deal of excitement about the development of sensors that are at the nanoscale. We have some superb engineers at the University of Illinois who are getting mobilized to work on these now, thanks to the BRAIN initiative. Sensors that work at the nanoscale that will be possible then to record the activity of an active brain, and then in turn to be able to use that same inroad into the brain to be able to stimulate particular parts of the brain, particular circuits, to get more specific cause and effect relations. And then finally, tying that all together will be really high-powered computer models, the kind that Blue Waters will be able to do, to be able to understand the phenomena, decompose it into single unit level understanding as well as the whole level.
I understand that's a did a very good job of putting out there for us what needs to come together in all this. Is there anything that you would expect? What kind of, if you just look out there and say, what would you like to solve? What do you think we can solve? What types of questions or problems or issues. Is there anything that you have in mind?
We spoke today, several people mentioned how the brain is organized hierarchically. There's different levels of organization. You have the whole brain, you have brain regions, you have circuits, and then there are the individual neurons. We badly need to understand the relationship of those units to each other, those levels of organization to each other. How do individual neurons orchestrate their activity to create a circuit? How do the circuits then form a brain region that's functional? And then, of course, the whole brain. I take inspiration in framing this question from the beehive, no surprise, where we have similar questions. So you have a fully functioning colony, and we need to understand how the behavior of individual bees gives rise to the whole colony, and how the brain inside the bee gives rise to the colony, and the gene inside the brain, inside the bee, inside the colony. So it's a Russian dolls nested level sort of approach, and that's exactly what any complex system has. And the challenge is to decompose into the functional levels and then understand the relationship between those functional levels.
All right, thank you.